And John Elway was back for the Broncos. That's his back right there. And it didn't take him long to get started. First quarter, Elway drops back. Look at the time he has to find Rod Smith cutting across the middle of the field. 50 yards, touchdown, 7-0 Dolphins. 7-0 Broncos. And it's still in the first quarter. And still in the first quarter, Elway goes back again, all the time in the world. Shannon Sharp, make it 14-0 Denver. They've been a great first quarter team, and it looked like they were just going to roll over the Seahawks in Seattle. But then Elway drops back and doesn't see Darren Smith in the flat. Smith with the interception takes it 23 yards for the touchdown. And Seattle wasn't generating much offense, but it was 14-7 at the half. Now, Warren Moon, who's got bad ribs, was having all kinds of trouble in this game. That wound up with a Seattle punt and a turnover. And with the score 14-10, Terrell Davis took it in for the touchdown that made it 21-10. But John Freese replaced Moon, and he hit the former Bronco Mike Pritchard with that little out. And Pritchard took it 50 yards for the touchdown. It was a game again, or at least it was until Freese threw this little dink pass straight to Glenn Cadrez. Cadrez with the interception. That gave the Broncos the ball back. Terrell Davis, with Seattle trying to get the ball back themselves, takes it 70 yards. And classy Mike Shanahan doesn't go for the score. They just sat on it and killed it. Final score 21-16. Now, Kansas City, with the league's best defense, went into Foxborough and got clobbered by the Patriots. It was ugly in Oakland, 7-6 over the Chargers. Doug Flutie came off the bench to lead the Bills over the Indianapolis Colts, 31-24. And Neil O'Donnell had some revenge against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Trick play, end of the game, 5-point win. It's getting hard to tell those teams in the AFC Central apart. 4 points separated the Oilers and the Ravens. The Jets, who beat Miami last week, started Glenn Foley. It's bye-bye Glenn as they lost to the Rams. And Dan Reeves got sweet revenge against the Giants with a big win by the Falcons. In the Paper Bag Bowl, the Eagles just squeaked past the Redskins. Whew, that was bad. Carolina, with Steve Berline replacing Kerry Collins, who went walkabout, lost to Dallas. The 49ers returned Coach Ditka to reality with a 31-0 shellacking of the Saints. And finally, Ditka's old team, the Bears, lost to the Arizona Cardinals 27.
And of course, if your guys are in amongst that lot, have no fear. We will be bringing you highlights and standings during the course of the game. Which
you see, he reads cuts really well. He's got a burst. And let's start with Kansas City visiting New England. Donnell Bennett on the little swing pass, getting some good yardage, but coughing the ball up when Chris Slade hits him, and New England gets possession. And we talked about Fred Taylor and the other rookie running back, Robert Edwards. Well, Edwards takes it in for the score, and New England had a 7-0 lead in the first quarter. Kansas City was making lots of mistakes, couldn't get a first down, then fumbled the ball up. New England recovered again, and a Vinatieri field goal made it 10-0. Then Drew Bledsoe took over. A little bit of scrambling from Big Drew, and he finds Robert Edwards with the 15-yard TD, and Edwards can catch the ball as well as run with it. Bledsoe again looking deep. Sean Jefferson on the deep out. Puts him in about 17 yards out, and that was all it took. One run, and then Ben Coates on the dive. And New England's offense is really clicking, and Marty says, oh, Schottenheimer. Usually the Chiefs don't play this badly until the playoffs. Elvis Gerbach was back in at quarterback for them, but look at the line for Robert Edwards, 104 yards rushing. Drew Bledsoe, 3 TDs and no picks.
So plenty of highlights still to come, but Mike, let's just talk quickly about Miami.
The Dolphins. Ryan Leaf having another one of his bad days, 7 for 18, 3 interceptions. That's one of them by Harrison. Donald Hollis, not much better for the Raiders. So in comes 38-year-old Wade Wilson. A minute left in the game. He hits James Jett, 68 yards for the only touchdown of the game. The Raiders' only first down of the second half. Only first down. And then finally San Diego gets going, but it's too little and too late. And it's this swing here to Natron Means, comes up just short of the first down, and the game ends 7-6, a one-run win for the Oakland Raiders. Leo Aragu's 16 punts in that game, which is a one-person record, although one team actually once punted 17 times in an NFL game. Darren Bennett only punted.
5:49 left in the opening quarter. 7-0.
Indianapolis Colts. Rob Johnson at quarterback for Buffalo goes down here and takes a rib cartilage injury. That puts him out. Tough to throw with that ribs being hurt. That brings in Doug Flutie, the Magic Flutie, 5'9", who needs to be tall to play quarterback in the NFL. Hits Jay Reersma for the first touchdown of the game for the Bills. And for Peyton Manning, it was just another one of these Peyton Manning days. Really off on his passing, which is about the only way he can stop from being intercepted. Just throwing the ball away a few times in a row there, but not Doug Flutie. Here's how it's done. He says to the rookie, 8 years in the CFL, just throw it to Andre Reed. Let Andre do the work. Let Andre do the work again. And then Flutie on the bootleg goes for the first down and gets it. And Antoine Smith, who had 130 yards rushing, takes it in for the touchdown. 21-12, Buffalo in the lead. Manning has a pass deflected and then intercepted by Big Ted Washington. He doesn't get many interceptions. Buffalo go out 31-24 winners. Flutie with a nice line on the game. Peyton Manning with another tough one, 14 interceptions. AFC action yesterday in the Central Division, Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. Cordell Stewart, his old buddy Neil O'Donnell embracing before the game, and Cordell on the scramble, setting up Pittsburgh in the second quarter. Cordell wound up with 103 yards rushing on only 7 carries. Jerome Bettis was 11 for 55 when he went down on this play and twisted his knee. He was out for the game, even though it's his helmet there and his neck that looks like it was twisted. He actually went out with the knee. Not too bad. And then his replacement, Chris Fuamatu Mahafala, he also went out with an injury, which left third man Richard Huntley running. But Neil O'Donnell, the ex-Steeler, hit Carl Pickens with a touchdown pass. Darnay Scott with the first one. And that's Pickens. And he picks the pocket of Dwayne Washington. It was so good, let's take another look at it now. Carl Pickens working on Dwayne Washington, pushes him out of the way, makes the catch. Darren Perry comes up, just dodges around Darren Perry, and catches his breath. Big game on the ground for Corey Dillon, 99 yards rushing. And go for it, go for it. They think that they're going to be kicking a field goal because they're only down by 3, but the old Dan Marino fake spike by Neil O'Donnell, looks around for a receiver, throws it up for Pickens. Washington, a real tough game for him. Tough game for Pittsburgh. They lose 25-20. Cordell, 150 yards passing, 100 yards rushing, but Neil O'Donnell, 3 TDs and almost 300 yards against his old team.
Clear off. Right there, the hit by Donovan Darius.
Central, Baltimore, Tennessee. Eric Zier, quarterback for Baltimore. Can you really tell these teams apart? Game starts off with a sack. Steve McNair in the end zone, 2-0. But McNair gets his revenge. A little bit of fancy footwork, and he takes off on the scramble. Air McNair goes to the ground, 40 yards in for the touchdown. Tennessee up 6-2 at the end of the first quarter. We had a lot of baseball scores in the NFL this weekend. Baltimore, meanwhile, last week, Priest Holmes had 178 yards on the ground. This week, 29 yards on the ground in 14 carries. They threw the ball to Holmes 13 times for reasons that I can't really figure out. Zier now desperate, last chance, 12-8 the score. Pass is intercepted and returned. That's it. Blaine Bishop with the interception. The Oilers win this game despite 13 penalties that cost them 141 yards. Eddie
PGA and the Senior PGA and the Senior PGA. ESPN brings you the best in
highlights here. Tony Banks for the Rams. The Rams leading 10-3, and whoops, Tony fumbles. That's unusual, isn't it? Glenn Foley started for the Jets. He was intercepted by Eric Hill. Bill Parcells doesn't like what he's seeing, but he leaves Foley in, and it's more of the same. 20-3. Another interception for the Rams. And Amp Lee takes it in, a big game for Amp Lee. Final score 30-10. The Jets losing. Vinny Testaverde did come in, 96 yards passing and a touchdown. He'll get the start next week on Monday Night Football. Amp Lee, 53 yards running, 62 yards receiving, the man for the St. Louis Rams.
And of course the highlight.
Here's Mike with it for you.
And Dan Reeves brings the Atlanta Falcons in against the Giants. A little revenge match. Chris Chandler, great fake on that one, and it's touchdown. Tony Martin, 36 yards from Chandler. That made it 7-3. Now watch Danny Cannell. Thank you very much, says Antonio Edwards. He takes the ball away from Cannell and marches into the end zone. It's been that kind of a season for Danny. Now Chris Chandler looking and finding Bob Christian, but Christian fumbles. Corey Widmer picks it up, and the Giants have the ball back. But remember, that just means it's Danny Cannell again. And Cannell tosses it away to Howard Cross, and Howard Cross is so surprised to get the ball that he drops it, and Atlanta have it back, their possession again. Giants eventually get the ball back after a field goal, and David Patton, 39 yards from Cannell, his longest pass of the day. That got the Giants back in the game, but not for long. Terrence Mathis all alone. Chris Chandler finding him for the touchdown, 55 yards. And now Chandler, who's doing it every way possible. He's not supposed to be able to run, but he takes it in 1 yard on the naked bootleg. That was basically the match. Percy Ellsworth just faked completely out on that one. Morton Anderson got a field goal, which puts him number 2 in field goals career NFL, just behind George Blanda, and Kent Graham took over at quarterback for the Giants. Now the paper bag bowl between two of the worst teams in the league. Trent Green, whoops, do I have to play this game? He just falls over. Next play, Trent Green, whoops, there goes the ball. Now this is like a lesson in Einsteinian physics. When the resistible force meets the movable object, what happens? Well, Rodney Pete's going to show you what happens. Pete keeps the ball on the scramble, 18 yards for the touchdown. That gives Philadelphia the 7-0 lead in the first quarter. Trent Green back into controls. And the ball just pried out of the hands of Terry Allen and recovered. Pete takes over again. To Irving Fryer getting in. Gus Farrat comes in at quarterback for the Redskins. Farrat tries to get something going in the end, but it is Gus Farrat, remember. And Jamie Asher falls just short of the first down. And don't take any bets on who's out of Washington first, Norv Turner or Bill Clinton. My money's on Norv Turner. He impeached the coach. Now you remember that Kerry Collins walked off and wanted to be benched and just left the Carolina Panthers. Steve Berline, the old reliable number 2, is in at quarterback, and Berline didn't waste any time. He found Rocket Ismail in the end zone, 35 yards for the touchdown. 7-3 Carolina leading. Berline again. Raghib with the catch and the move. 16 yards for the touchdown. 14-3 Carolina in the lead. Now Dallas caught up a bit on a pass from Jason Garrett to Ernie Mills, and then took over again when Chris Floyd fumbled the ball right down by the end zone, and that set up Dallas for the little shovel pass from Jason Garrett to Chris Warren. Catches Carolina's defense napping. That put Dallas in the lead 17-14, and then Emmitt Smith on the ground. Smith having another big day with 112 yards rushing. Takes it in for the touchdown. That put Dallas in the lead. And then with it 27-20, Berline trying to rally Carolina and throwing Deion Sanders with the interception. Sanders with one of his patented Neon Deion returns. And he wants to lateral at the end here. He's thinking about it right there, but he decides to just eat the ball. Carolina's defense got them the ball back, however. They held Dallas. Berline passed them upfield again, and it all came down to one Hail Mary from Steve Berline, but the Hail Mary fell short. And the final score, 27-20. Carolina go to 0-5. Berline now the number 1 quarterback there. And Emmitt Smith, as I said, over 100 on the ground. Michael Irvin, 146 in the air. The big guys step up for Dallas when they need it.
There you go. Still got...
is good. And amazingly, Al and Boomer, this is a tie football game.
It is. Oh, Jacksonville did themselves in on that drive. 3 penalties for 51 yards against the Jaguars, and we're tied at 14.
Sequences we've seen in a long time. The 49ers took on the New Orleans Saints. It was time to burst Coach Ditka's bubble. Steve Young to Jerry Rice, the old firm in business. Steve Young on the scramble, looking like a much younger man. Greg Clark, the tight end, is back and healthy again, and Steve Young welcomed him back with a 1-yard touchdown pass. That put San Francisco up 7-0 at the end of the first quarter. It was 10-0, and Danny Werfel was feeling the pressure from San Francisco's defense. Chris Dolman had 4 sacks in this game, which puts him up among the NFL leaders. Werfel now trying to set up a screen pass and throwing the ball right into Roy Barker's hands. Barker running backwards with the interception, but that didn't matter much because Steve Young found Terrell Owens, and Owens fought his way into the end zone. The Niners now up 21-0. Young to Jerry Rice. Young to J.J. Stokes. And finally, Young setting up a screen for Garrison Hurst now on the bottom of your screen. Watch Kevin Gogan throw the block downfield. Boom! Right there, Garrison Hurst goes 33 yards for the touchdown. That made it 28-0. Wade Ritchie added a field goal, and the new mellow, milder, kinder, gentler Coach Ditka just internalizes all that pain.
As you would, of course. And now this is what we got for you next Monday.
And Coach Ditka's old team, the Chicago Bears, Eric Kramer at quarterback. Kramer's pass is deflected and taken by Ronald McKinnon with the interception. That was one of 3 that McKinnon had on the day. 4 interceptions for Eric Kramer, who'd been playing very well at quarterback to that point. Simeon Rice picking up the fumble and heading down like Fred Taylor down to the 20-yard line. And then now watch the Bears. Eric Pegram on the fake reverse, keeps the ball, doesn't get anywhere, and fumbles it away. That puts the Cardinals into good position. And Mario Bates dives in for his 2nd touchdown of the game, both on 2-yard runs. 17-0 lead for the Cards. Another pass batted away by Kramer. Another pick from McKinnon. And basically a long, hard day for Eric Kramer. 16 for 28, but 4 interceptions. Jake the Snake Plummer, 2 interceptions of the
Way up for the defense, way in advance. 2nd and 8. Farina wide open, Drayton touchdown. And follow him all the way across the field. First down from the 23-yard line. Wide open is Keenan McCardell for the touchdown. I don't think anybody's more satisfied than Tony Baselli at the end of that play. And you know something? He's complaining to the official. He thinks that Jason Taylor intentionally stepped on him after the play was over on his way down to the end zone. This is a war.
Yeah, you know what? A nice job of play-action faking. McCardell getting behind the secondary, the aggressive secondary. And that time, Brunell lays it up nicely.
Almost the time of the game. McCardell goes over 47 minutes tonight without making a catch. Then he makes 2, gonna kick it, and the kick is no good. Had the distance, but just wide.
Ooh, and Jimmy grinds his teeth. He knows the field position now that Jacksonville's going to get.
And it comes back whence it was spotted, so it's the 40.
Gotcha. He's actually thinking that was his best shot to win, and he went for it. He has guts, I'll tell you that much. And he has confidence in his defense.
He does. First down from the 44-yard line. Now the pressure on the Miami defense as Brunell goes deep for McCardell. He beats Buckley. Touchdown.
And Jason Taylor now gets taunted by Tony Baselli.
Knocks it down. Tom Coughlin's team takes off on a 3-game road trip with a 2-game lead in the AFC Central. And the Dolphins, who guttily came from behind, once down 14-0, then out in front 21-14, head back to Miami.